Let's consider a technique that to a lot of people, and especially from a combat sport perspective, looks pretty ridiculous because it sort of is a little bit ridiculous from that perspective until you look at it from a different lens and then you actually start to see the purpose of it. A very traditional formal karate punch. Or just alternating the arms. Chambering all the way back, spiraling all the way forward with the alternation of the arms. The question comes up, why would you ever punch like that? The technique looks kind of ridiculous if you're looking at like what would I use in sparring for something like MMA or boxing. Okay. The reason for that is it's not for MMA and boxing. It's for a more real life fighting situation, right? And well, what's more real than MMA? Blades, knives. If you're in a real situation, you don't know if the person is maybe palming a weapon that you can't see, has a weapon that they can go to, might be another guy who already has a weapon. And as soon as you're dealing with that situation, well, now that midsection starts becoming very important to protect. So it starts making a lot more sense when you start thinking of it from the application of actual self-defense. Yes, karate's become maybe more of a sport with point fighting and kata competitions, but the roots are a fighting system, and a fighting system where your opponent might be armed. Let's smooth out that karate technique. All right, I've got my one hand up, I got my hand chambered, I'm going back and forth. Maybe I'm stepping with it, maybe I'm stepping with it. As I come back and forth, what are you seeing? I'm zoning, right? I'm protecting from here on out, especially because while I might be able to take a fist from here, getting holes punched in me is going to be a problem. I'm going to start leaking, and that's not good for me. So this, right? It was there all along. That zoning, that my long guard, my medium guard, my short guard, up and down, protecting everywhere in this zone. Maybe even moving with it to protect the femoral arteries, the legs. Once you start looking at this from the perspective of a real self-defense situation, where they could be armed, where they could be carrying a weapon, this makes a lot more sense. In fact, if you looked at systems like Kali, like Silat, systems that incorporate edged weapons, you're going to see movements like this. Where might you actually see this technique, right? This high-low technique, if there's actually utility for it, you might see it in a prison. I go high, get the reaction, get the hands to raise, and shank them. Another point, if I'm in a sport fight, combat sport, I got a ref, I got a start of a fight. Hey, I can take my guard, right? Put my hands up. We know when it starts. I know who my opponent is. In a real life situation, my hands may be down here. I might just be walking and have to come from a full chambered position. What do your hands do? They swing side to side. Where are the hands here? One's up, one's down. Again, I'm controlling the space here, and I'm also coming from here. Why else might I be all the way down here? Maybe I'm carrying a weapon. I come down here and bring my weapon into play. If I'm carrying, and I'll tell you, most of the really dangerous guys I know are typically carrying a weapon around here. It might be a knife, might be a gun. Either way, I've got to chamber this fist all the way down here. And this guy, as I'm chambering down here, I may want to be clearing space. Very famous movie scene, movie Collateral. Great scene in the alley with Tom Cruise, where he practiced and worked out with a Special Air Service member, British Special Forces, in terms of gunplay. And what you see in that movie is he goes from a hands up position to one hand coming down right here, another hand clearing. He brings his gun up, puts 2 shots in the chest, and then turns, and what does he do? Punches out. 2 to the chest, 1 to the head of the other assailant, and then comes back and finishes off the first guy with a shot to the head. What are you seeing? He chambers, 1 out, clears, punches out. So whatever kind of weapon system you're using in a fight, you got to bring it into action. And chances are, handgun, knife, most of what you carry, it's going to be down here. All right? Admittedly, combat sports, I don't have to worry about the guy pulling a knife on me. I don't have to worry about getting my own knife, my own handgun into play. And if I don't have a knife or handgun, I don't have to worry about coming all the way down here to protect here. All right? But if I do learn that twisty motion too, what I'm also learning how to do is how to control twist. Okay, arteries, tendons in here, not so much here, right? I'm learning what I present, what I allow to be cut, and what I don't, and how I protect with there. All that is going on with that traditional karate punch. Even if the instructor teaching it doesn't know that, and the students don't know that, doesn't mean the technique's bad. It's a good technique. All right, so we're explaining why you might be zoning from low to high, because I'm covering all this area. And I'm also employing a high guard, a mid guard, and a close guard as I do that. And I do it with movement. I'm going to be protecting, zoning to protect all those areas, so I'm not getting cut and opened up in any of those areas. What else is in that spiral? All right. Well, I can show you the entire Wing Chun system in these spirals. A Fuk Sao, a pushing hand, a lifting hand, a Win Sao, a circling hand, a Tan Sao, all right? A grabbing hand. Oh, there's my break down here. I pulled the limb all the way down, and then I snap it down here. From here, a Bong Sao, my elbow is in there. A Fuk Sao, my finger jab is in there, all right? An asking hand, a Pak, a tiger claw, into a back fist, into a strike. So I've got, if I really understand this spiral, I've got all the tools I need to do for trapping. And guess where you see a lot of trapping? Arts like Kali, like Silat, weapon-based, blade-based arts. Whether I'm using a blade or I'm going against a blade for trapping. So now when I'm doing all this, I've got all those techniques, all those attacks in there. I'm not saying most of the people doing karate actually understand all of that's there. I'm not saying they even understand that this is for the idea of I might have a weapon, my opponent might have a weapon. And I don't know if it's a real self-defense situation. It's a real self-defense situation. I don't know. Are they palming a blade, right? Have they come up here and then that's going to come into play and I don't see it, right? Or maybe it's concealed and I don't think there's a blade, and then I don't make the assumption in a self-defense situation that I don't have to protect all these areas. Anywhere that has tendons, has arteries, I need to be able to protect. And I want to protect it in an aggressive, moving in way, which you're going to see if you see people really understand edge weapon-based systems, Kali, Silat. If you see them even doing things empty hand, you're going to always see them protecting those areas, those zoning areas. So When you look at that formal, or when I look at that formal karate punch, I don't see a punch. I see trapping. I see zoning. I see attacking everywhere and protecting everywhere from an opponent that might be armed. Just because most people don't see it doesn't make it a stupid technique. That traditional karate punch, it has that zoning. It has that trapping. It has that spiraling where I'm presenting the parts of me that I'm most okay with getting cut. It has the taking weapons systems and getting them into action from concealment. It has covering everywhere. All that's there. Just because most people don't know what they're learning, a lot of people don't know what they're teaching, doesn't mean it's not a good technique. It's a good technique.